This year will bring you cold. Hey there, setter, you look weird, setter. Skinnier than usual, why you wearing setter? I'm looking down at your boots like, what are those? Do you only wear those when it snows? I remember when you said if I wanted clothes, I said yes, and setter, also buy me toys. I'm still like a kid, yeah, just a boy. Slow setter, you need more, I was still employed. If I had a choice, setter, would've killed setter. I wouldn't just pull you away behind bars, setter. Just clan your mouth, setter, I wanna know, setter. Where my gift, setter? I'm tired of nothing, setter. I was only 8 but always complained. I never got a gift since then the kid didn't retain. The presents from a Christmas tree he couldn't regain. Kid grew older, he wants his revenge, man. Santa Claus, buy me toys and a bunch of clothes.
Hey, this is Alex Kaiso, the Maverick, and I just want to let you guys know that it has been a beautiful month of December, and you're probably listening to this episode, which could be January, but yeah, it's been a great December with family and friends and all of that, and I hope all of you have had the same experience as I have. Anyway, right now in Maverick's Dojo, we got an interview with, I think you pronounce it Kaiso, Frank Dux. And, you know, I mean, whatever controversies might surround this guy, you know, anything negative anybody has to say. You know, I grew up, watching the movie Bloodsport with the rest of all you guys, and this show is for martial artists, so I'm pretty sure that the majority of martial artists are listening to this show have watched Bloodsport as kids or whatever, teenagers, and some of you might have even gone to the movies when it first came out in 1988. But I was always fascinated with I wanted to find out who the real Frank Dux was, and of course he's been in interviews and all kinds of shows and things like that. But I've always wanted to talk to anyone in the martial arts world that I looked up to as a kid, or heard myths or whatever, or stories of them and legends, whatever. And everybody comes with some sort of bad publicity. I mean, everybody talks bad about everybody, and when they see you coming up, somebody always has something negative to say. But we got Frank Dux on the show, and there's a lot of positives, to this man. He's done a lot of great things. And not too long ago, on a post I had on Facebook, I had a couple of guys, leaving some bad comments about one of Frank Dux's students, and I'm like, what is this? This is what you get in the martial arts world. Everybody gets, some sort of bad rap or whatever. But we're going to talk about the positives. Frank Dux is the founder of Dux Ryu Ninjutsu, and he's up there, and his system does work. And he's trained so many people, and I believe, police and military personnel, and whatever you believe about him now, the man does know his martial arts. I've seen him do, some amazing things with his skills. And of course, stories of people that I know that know him personally that have told me amazing things about the man. So anyway, whatever. This is something that goes on in the martial arts world, and it's going to be a special show. There's a lot of things that he tells me that I wasn't aware of, and a lot of things that were shocking to me. And I really like Frank Dux. I love talking to him. I think he's a really cool guy, and I hope to do future shows with him. And he's got a book coming out too, so I think it's called Ninjutsu is BS or something like that. So I can't wait to read that book when it is released. So anyway, stay tuned, don't go away, and remember that you are about to enter the Mavericks Dojo.
First of all, the title is Kaiso, not Sensei.
Oh, Kaiso.
Sensei means teacher. which could be anybody, an English teacher in Japan, just so you know. You can call them sensei. A driving instructor is called sensei.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
And actually, a martial arts teacher is actually supposed to be called O-sensei.
Oh, sensei.
Which is different. But, just so you know, if you want to use titles. But other than that, you can always call me by my first name. It's never a problem.
Really? Okay, great. And what does Kaiso mean?
Kaiso is the term meaning founder. When you've actually founded your own system, founded your own way.
Wow.
And that's what's my title, and that was awarded to me.
Awesome.
Hanshi really means it means the highest student. That's usually someone who kind of like takes over a system. But if you've invented your own system, like truly your own system, Kaiso would be is the appropriate title.
And you're the founder of is it
Dux
called Dux Ryu?
Dux Ryu. Yeah, and it's not like Dux Ninjutsu, Dux Taekwondo, Dux Judo, Dux whatever, but Dux Ninjutsu.
Can you give me a little history on it?
Yeah, basically, ninjutsu. First of all, there's no such thing as a ninja. Okay, it's a folk tale, and there were people that were shinobi ninjutsu which is another term, which were basically the special forces of the army in feudal times. Okay, they were trained in how to do arson. They were trained in how to infiltrate, carry out reconnaissance. Pretty much what the special forces we see today. They're fulfilling their missions, including working cohesively amongst civilian populations, blending in and doing what they need to do. So that's really what someone doing ninja is. Ninja is actually a term for you doing something like the janitorial services. You being the janitor. Anybody could be the janitor, or or a driver. That's probably a better term. Someone driving someone, we call them a driver, right?
Yeah.
You don't need a special qualification to be a driver, and that's the same thing there. So anybody fulfilling those kind of functions, that's what the term is. So now it's actually not a noun, it's an adverb. Anyways, the point is, it's used to describe an action. In ninjutsu, the same thing. And the terms were shortened in the beginning of the 20th century, in the early 1920s, 1910, somewhere between there. The most popular, earliest recorded person doing that is a guy named Ito Kengetsu. He wrote the first books on ninjutsu, on the subject, and called it ninjutsu because as they were changing from a warrior class to a mercantile society, you had all these people who needed work. And so they started offering these courses as a way of, preserving the old ways of life, learning some interesting hobbies, etc., etc., And so that's how you got your martial arts basically going on in Japan at that time. But the whole art form itself goes all the way back to China, because it's not even Japanese, contrary to what people have misled to believe. By a group of individuals who profited by it by claiming, they have exclusive lineage, that anybody else is a fake, that there's, that this is some kind of secret cult, and there's nothing really that much secret about it, other than the fact that you had different families who operated at different times in history for nefarious means.
Oh.
Okay? I wrote a whole book on this called Ninjas Are Bullshit, and it'll be coming out. It'll be coming out hopefully. I'm hoping in publication middle of next year.
Oh.
So
I'll definitely get a copy.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think it's going to turn the entire martial art industry on its ear. Because in that book, I expose the racketeering, the racism, and the manipulation of perception that has been taking place in the martial arts from the 1970s through the year 2000, 2001, until finally the internet became user-friendly, where individual people could actually start putting up the facts and actually putting up documents online where you could see it. You didn't have to be like, some kind of programming guru to do that,
Now, you said the word racism there.
Oh, yeah.
Why?
Yeah, racism is a big part of martial arts. I mean, if you look at Black Belt Magazine, You won't see from the years, from when it was founded until it was sold, okay, to, I think, Efren Zimbalist. You won't see a single black man and very few Hispanics on the cover of the magazine at all. They're never featured.
I did not know that.
Yeah, in fact, that's one of the things. In fact, I was in Black Belt magazine for 3 months in a row until I found out I was Jewish, and then that got squashed very quickly. And I was slated for the cover, and also because I was doing ninjutsu, and they were getting ready to launch this guy Stephen Hayes. They made him, after 2 weeks of training in Japan, they made him like the Hall of Fame for ninjutsu. They actually were posing him the way they wanted him to pose for the magazine because they wanted it to look different. And they built up this whole BS thing about the ninja around him and Hatsumi, claiming that they're the last vestige of this line of ninjas, which is a lie because he had Shinichi Kawakami in Japan, who was actually recognized by the government, whereas Hatsumi is not, and as an actual practitioner. And I can go on and on. And that all comes out in the book. And I'm not trying to knock anybody, but the fact is, if you weren't Oriental or white, and male, your chances of ever making a cover were slim to none. The only exceptions being someone like Cynthia Rothrock, who made the cover, and I think Karen Shepard made it, and a couple other women. That's about it.
Wow.
You don't see any black men on it. I mean, think about how many black champions there were. You don't hear anything about Victor Moore, and the reason is Victor Moore defeated Bruce Lee, and that was their biggest seller. And they actually portray the story just the opposite. They say Lee beat him, which is not true.
Oh my.
They say Joe Louis was undefeated when they were selling his books. Joe Louis fought Victor Moore and lost. Fact.
Going back a little bit in your career, like Bloodsport, how did that happen for you? I mean, I grew up watching that movie, and it said that it was based on a true story.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, well, basically, it's really kind of ironic. I had befriended a guy by the name of Sheldon Lettich at that time. Sheldon was in film school. He was just got out of it, in the American Film Market School, and he needed a reel for his filmmaking. Okay, and I put up the money and helped for him to do a small short film called Firefight. And while he was editing Firefight, he met Mark DeSalle, who was a producer who wanted to do martial art films. But the Chopsakis were dead. I mean, nobody wanted to do those in Hollywood. People forget that. It was like the Shokasugi films. Nobody took them serious. Nobody went to the movie theaters to see them anymore, the entertainment. And the way DeSalle had told it to me was he had heard of the story of me, these fights. And Sheldon, I had told him about, Bloodsport and the Kumite fights that took place and how I called it Bloodsport. And he pitched the idea to Mark DeSalle while they were there editing their movies. DeSalle hired Lettich, based on my story, to write it. And that's how Bloodsport came about.
wow.
And DeSalle had me come to, he came to my studio. He saw what I did. He saw the evidence of it. And he wanted to do it,
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how the movie came about.
You helped Jean-Claude Van Damme with a lot of the choreography, right?
I did all the choreography in the film.
Wow.
He basically, I even trained him for 3 months, although he denied it, but we proved it in court. And that's because he didn't want to, show that he wasn't prepared for that. But he took 3 months coming into my studio, 3 days a week for 3 months, to get the part. He had a Shotokan background, but he was very stiff. He had some good moves, which, to work with. But I had studied filmmaking in college. I had a degree from, I have was on the, broadcasting honor society for like radio TV film called Alpha Epsilon Rho. I was mentored by Huey Kearns, who taught Bruce Lee movie making. And so I knew all the tricks that Lee used, and then I knew some more because of my filmmaking background in college. So I used that, and partly that I learned also from Phoebe Kearns directly. He mentored me, and Red Morgan. Red Morgan is another Stuntman Hall of Famer. And I came up with an idea of, instead of changing the film speed, change the shutter speed to make someone look faster.
Interesting.
And smoother. And so I met with David Worth, and we would get together in his room, and we reinvented the way you shot action scenes. And that's why Bloodsport had such a different feel. And people have tried to duplicate what I've done in a number of ways and have never had that success because they don't understand that fight choreography is just like writing music. You can get a lot of artists out there who can write it, but it takes a very special artist who can do it consistently, where they keep getting hit after hit after hit after hit. And I'm one of those people. And I'm not making it in a boastful way. I'm just saying that's the reality of it. Look at all my work. All my films have done, 10 times better than anyone else. And that's because they really don't understand the pacing and the tempo of how to show movement and when to show movement. And it is literally doing a dance. It's like really literally like music when you choreograph, but it's for the eye and it's emotional. And most guys, they just go out, punch, punch, kick, kick, punch. This looks good. Let's do that. Oh, that looks good. Let's do that. And whereas what I do is very well thought out, planned, and also very real. I'd like to keep it as real as possible. And a lot of the sequences, like if you look in Bloodsport, Showtime did a comparison. They actually showed real fight footage against what I choreographed, and they almost looked alike.
Wow. You worked on Quest as well, right?
I wrote the Quest. And, actually, I wrote it. It's called Enter the New Dragon, the Kumite, and then I was kind of summarily cut out of it, and people plagiarized my work, and they took credit for it. And I ended up in a lawsuit with Jean-Claude Van Damme over it, which was a joke because, in that lawsuit, I wasn't allowed to put in the contracts, number one. Judge wouldn't allow us to put contracts in evidence. He never allowed me a single impeachment or rebuttal witness. He'd let the other side there, and he even allowed the other side's witness to sit in the courtroom to hear each other testify. And prevented my witnesses from giving testimony. He actually prevented them.
Oh, man.
So it was a joke. The whole trial was a joke. And that's when I realized the power of Hollywood, because I realized had I won that case, it would have changed several things. Number one, I was fighting for gross points because that's what I was promised. And that would have opened the door for writers getting gross points. And the studios wouldn't have anything to do with that. They were freaking out. So they obviously, in my mind, paid off the judge. And he made a comment actually asking for a payoff when the court was going on, just before it went off. He says, well, where were you guys when I was running for such and such judge position? In other words, he was making a suggestion like, take care of me and basically, for my publicity and this and that, and I'll take care of you. I couldn't believe he actually said that, just as the court was getting started,
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy. And, and the fact that, like I said, I wasn't even allowed a single witness to testify. He kept my witnesses from testifying, or he limited the scope of the testimony. I wasn't even allowed to answer the question. Like they would do things like so underhandedly, like they'd have the defense attorney or John Claude's attorney would say, why did you wait so long, to file this case, whatever. But I wasn't allowed to answer the question the way I was, because I wasn't allowed to tell them I was in a coma. The judge instructed me, you're not allowed to say that you were in a coma during the trial.
My goodness.
And, and that's why it didn't look. So look, they were able to paint a certain picture, and it was ridiculous.
Attention business owners. Reach over 100,000 martial artists a month by advertising with World Martial Arts Media. We can put your product, service, or event announcements in front of your target audience. Advertise with World Martial Arts Magazine, World Martial Arts Radio, World Martial Arts TV, or all 3 media sources for the biggest bang for your advertising buck. Visit www.worldmartialartsmedia.com and click on the advertising link to see just how amazingly affordable it can be.
Same thing to you that this guy used. They actually took my own footage, and they got a copy of it, took pictures off of that, and the guy brought it in like it was proof that he was there. But I wasn't allowed to show that that's what he got was footage that was on a tape that was sold all over the internet. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Of Bercy, of my demonstration there. So they basically were able to pull the wool over the jury's eyes.
Wow. My goodness.
Okay? And that's what happened. And I didn't let that bitter me. I just knew once I was done with Van Damme, he was done career-wise. And he was. He hasn't had a single, since I walked away from Van Damme, and he couldn't rob me of my ideas anymore. He couldn't manipulate me anymore. His career went in the toilet. And that's the fact. Along with Sheldon Lettich, who kept coming in behind my back and writing my stories and taking credit for them as his own.
Did you have a friendship with Van Damme at all before all these things started happening, or?
I did. I watched the drugs basically change him.
Oh, wow.
And they changed his brain chemistry, and he's never been the same since.
I know he had an altercation with Chuck Zeno at a restaurant or something like that.
Yeah, he got it with Chuck Zeno at Scores. Chuck used to be his bodyguard, and Chuck caught him bad-mouthing him and saying some pretty stupid things. And Chuck just called him out on it and beat him like a little bitch.
Oh, man. Unbelievable. That's crazy.
No, he beat him. He beat him like a little bitch, and Jean-Claude was crying, laying on the ground.
Oh, wow. Wow. The thing is, oh, man. Let me ask you, since we have like 3 minutes left, the situation with Victor Moore and Bruce Lee, how did you know about that? Like, were you friends with Victor
there.
Moore? You were there?
I was 11 years old. I was there. That's how I met Vic Moore.
Oh, my.
And Bruce Lee used to work out at Bill Riyosaki's school. He used to be a friend of Bill Riyosaki, and he'd heard that I was faster than him. In fact, if you talk to Joe Cinda, who's the vice president of Warner Brothers publicity and marketing, he'll tell you that Bruce actually asked him to find me. And the reason was, I hit Vic Moore and Bruce Lee had a test of speed in 1967 at the Long Beach Internationals. It wasn't anything planned. It was just kind of like a thing that happened. It was Robert Trias, who opened the first commercial school of martial arts in the United States, had Victor Moore as one of his proteges, and Ed Parker, who put on the Long Beach Invitationals, God rest his soul, he had Bruce Lee. And they each one said, oh, my guy's quicker than your guy. So they decided to have a test, a game. And it was, as I recall, they had 3 shots. Each guy got 3 shots to the other guy's chest. And, they get a point for blocking and a point for scoring. And Vic Moore beat Bruce Lee 4-2. And that's the reality of it. But all people see is this video of Bruce Lee throwing a back knuckle strike to Victor's head, which is laughable because the fight, it was supposed to be to the chest. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so that's why he broke out laughing, and he did it twice to him. He did it, one time that way, and then when he was laughing and looking off, he went again against him. And that's all you see. They hide the real footage, the complete footage that shows, Victor Moore beating Lee. And they went off to the side, and this is something nobody talks about, but they went off to the side, and Lee was trying to show him his concepts and sparred with Moore, and I got to tell you, he didn't have a chance.
Wow.
And that's not taking anything away from Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee was my hero. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And what he wrote, I loved. But, Victor Moore was super talented. He fought and beat everybody. Chuck Norris, Mike Stone, Joe Louis. He fought and beat them all.
How come he didn't get any...
He also lost to him. Don't get me wrong. You understand what I'm saying?
Wait, he lost to...
He fought Joe Louis, lost to him. He fought him again and won. You understand?
Oh, I see. Okay. How come Victor Moore has no publicity on this kind of stuff? I mean,
he was locked out. He was blackballed because he's black to start with, and number two, he beat every one of the icons that Black Bolt magazine was making its money on him. It's making its money on promoting Mike Stone. It's making its money promoting, Chuck Norris. It's making its money promoting, Joe Louis. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or the competitive magazine, which was Curtis Wong's outfit. So Curtis Wong, I think, he handled Joe Louis. So basically, he wasn't allowed to be in either one. But if you look at Official Karate, which is on the East Coast, he is featured in a couple of magazines there, and he's also talked about how he beat Joe Louis. But not too many people are familiar with Official Karate. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Understand you have me on your naughty list, but my last name is literally good. Honestly, you get me pissed, honestly. I feel like my childhood was never part of me, and nice when I get back at you permanently, so I can live to know you quietly. Saw you on the mall, said on your lap, said what the hell's wrong with me, said no more adult things, wanna be a kid, but I'm growing. What's rainy season, not snowing? Hey yo, is that a cup in your hand, is that eggnog? Do you wanna be friends? I think not. I'm looking down at your boots like, what are those? Do you only wear those when it snows? Santa Claus, buy me toys and a bunch of clothes. Next box, one, a PS4 and a girl with chicken wings.